Hello everyone, it's Pete here from the Pain Toolkit, and today I'm doing an interview, the 5-question interview with a physiotherapist called Richmond Stace. Good afternoon to you, Rich.
Hi Pete, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. It's we had a lovely weekend, lovely, good, nice weather, and we're back with the grey again a little bit now. Looking out the window, I don't know, the sun's just come out. Hey, what am I saying here? It's sunny Essex.
Yeah, look, Pete, behind every cloud is the sun.
I like it. I like it. Thanks for taking part in the interview, and I know over the coming weeks and months we're going to be doing a lot more interviews with each other, talking about pain self-management and etc. etc. Like, you know, so I don't know about you, but I feel there is a massive need out there to change the thinking around, you know, people being that passive person, you know, well, what are you going to do to me, to what I can do for myself, like. But to do that, they're going to need the help of someone like yourself, like a physiotherapist or another healthcare professional, or occupational therapist, etc. So exciting times ahead for us to do some more of this interviews, but I thought we'd just kick off by doing the famous 5-question interview for healthcare professionals. So are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Right.
Feels like mastermind. I'm in a
You'll
black
love it.
chair as well. I've got a black chair.
Yeah, you'll love it. So I've got to look over there to see, to do the question. So what has it attracted you to work with people with persistent pain?
Well, that's a really good question, and I'll give you the short version.
Please.
So originally I trained as a nurse, and that's where my interest was piqued because I'd had there'd been a few ups and downs in my upbringing, but generally I've been pretty privileged, and so I would say in terms of real life, probably a bit wet behind the ears. And so I went and did nurse training, and that really opened my eyes. I spent a lot of time doing lots of different things, so I made it my business to see as much as possible. And one thing that always intrigued me was how patients coming out of same surgeries would always react in very different ways. You know, now I sort of think, well, it's obvious why. But at the time, it was intriguing, and I actually did my whole kind of end project on that and pain experiences, and spent time with the pain teams going around the hospital. So that got my interest. Then after that, I went and did a degree in sport rehabilitation, which was fun and had its own benefits. Then I did a degree in physio, and it was there that I came across Mick Thacker. I can still remember the lecture he gave on pain and different pain states, as in physiological states. And he based a lot of what he was saying on some of the stuff that had been written by Dave Butler, but many others as well. And so that was like, wow, okay, right, this sort of makes sense, because I'd been a nurse for a while. I was doing the physio training. It was okay. It didn't really excite me that much. But as soon as Mick was talking about this stuff and his approach and his thinking to pain and the immune system things, I was like, oh, wow, this is it. This really makes sense. So when I finished the physio degree, I then did the pain masters with Mick at King's. And that was with the intent and the early stage purpose of saying, right, we've got to do something here, because this is a big problem. And ever since then, in the early 2000s, that's been my purpose, and that purpose has just got stronger and stronger to where I am now.
Well, following your work and the chats we've had over I think I've known you for about 3 or 4 years now, I guess. I mean, we used to meet at the water thing, and but we sort of had lots. We did some filming last year as well, which one day we may see.
Where are you, Imran? Where are you?
I don't know. I messaged him the other day. I don't know. He's somewhere else. Anyway, well, hopefully the video will come about somewhere along the line. I'll give a question too. A lot of people with pain, we're always looking. I know I was back in the day. We're always looking for that quick fix. What are you gonna do to fix me? So question 2 is, what do you say to patients that you see that are looking for that quick fix?
Yeah, I mean, look, another great question, because people do and are. I think by the time they come and see me, I mean, I see people when they've usually seen a lot of other people, so they've kind of gone through that and had their hopes. But people do expect things quickly, and I think we're in a world of instant gratification, which doesn't help. So, you know, I can order a pizza now. I can order a book right now. I can even go on a date after we finish this, if I wanted to. So it's very, very quick. And the important things in life don't come in that way. They take time. And so overcoming a pain problem, particularly if it's been a chronic pain problem where there's a lot of habits, there's a lot of conditioning that's gone on that needs to be worked upon and changed and disrupted, and then new patterns created. You know, that takes time and effort. Now, it doesn't mean that you give up your life to do that, in my view. You actually live to do the things. So I've really sort of turned the model on its head and would say, look, you get back to living by living. Yes, there's ways you've got to go about things, but you need a focus and you need a clear picture of what you want, and then we work out the steps to get there. And there's nothing monumental about that. That's just the basic model of success. And so I apply that day to day. But there's no end to this. And people don't want to hear that because it's an inconvenient truth. But there's no end to this. There's no end to being the best that you can be. There's no end to getting up each day and saying, right, how can I do this in the best way? How can I live well? How can I create joy and compassion? Because I've got to do this. No one does it for me.
Yeah.
And I think when people wake up to that, and they don't want to hear it sometimes, and so you have to, you know, describe it in different ways and help them understand it. Give examples of actually when they're already doing it, because they are. And say, look, you don't have to change you. This is just changing the way that you think and do things. And there's deep beliefs in there and values which you're trying to live to, most of which you probably don't even realize, but they're guiding your decisions, and your decisions are sort of governing what you focus on, and what you focus on governs how you feel, and so on and so forth. Now, some people will probably sit there and go, oh yeah, you know, that sounds like an old airy fairy stuff, but it's not. It's not anymore, because we've got the science behind it, we've got the data. And actually, if you look at any deep philosophy, sensible philosophy, whether it be Buddhism or others, you'll see this is all written there. This is nothing new. There's nothing new about this. You've got to do it. You create it. So something like predictive processing and embodied cognition as branches of neuroscience and philosophy, there's masses of data behind this stuff. And so, you know, you can use simple examples and say, look, you know, when you first started cleaning your teeth, did you do it once? And then you think, well, I've done that once now. I won't do that again. I don't need to do it anymore. I've done it. No, of course, if you want healthy teeth, you've got to clean your teeth every day. But then there are other factors as well that might come into it. What do I put in my mouth? You know, maybe there's genetic aspect, or maybe there's something else that's going on. So, you know, understanding these things is important. And so the first thing, as far as I'm concerned, that the first step for a person overcoming their pain is to really understand what pain is, and to understand that it is a perception, and it is molded and sculpted by many factors. And actually, to really treat pain, most of the things that you address are not the pain itself. The pain is kind of the end result. It's part of the way we protect ourselves. If you really want to deal with a pain problem effectively, you've got to look at how you do life, your style of life. And that's not, and includes that your lifestyle, but your style of life, how you do it. And once you get into that and you realize the things that are contributing, so things that affect how much energy you've got, how much sleep you've got, how you move, how you embody this whole experience, what thought processes trigger those, and so on and so forth. I mean, obviously there's lots of things to look at. And that can be quite overwhelming for some people as well, because they think, oh, I do this stuff. But actually, there are very simple things. You make it into a very simple program that people can follow. And you can get results very quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that your pain goes away like that necessarily. It does take time. Having said that, how quickly do we change state? How quickly do I go from feeling good to bad and bad to good? It's literally in a second. So we've got...
Rich, what I want to do, I want to use that. I want to explore that a little bit more when we do another interview, because I think that's a really important one. Is because how do we get people to make that change? You know, because I think for many people over many months and years, they get into that sort of routine and so can we? I'll get you all onto them thoughts, but we can do that in a separate one. So I think we need to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot in that.
Yeah, let's move on to the third one. I'm just being conscious as well. I've got there's a time factor involved. So one question of three. When people come to see you, what are the three best, or two or three best questions they can ask you when they come to you for an appointment?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think these questions are important because the person needs to feel empowered. You know, one of my jobs is to make sure that person feels inspired to do the right things and to feel empowered and feel in control. And asking questions does that. So, you know, they want to know or ask me, well, why am I still in pain? I mean, I only see people that have had pain for a while. So why am I still in pain? And, you know, I've had these tests and I've had this and had that. And yes, there's bits and bobs in my body, but, you know, apparently we're all supposed to have that. And that's true. You know, the relationship between pain and injury and pain and the body tissues is very core. The relationship between pain and the state you are in is very good. So, you know, why am I in this pain? What can I do, as in the patient? What can I do here? What's my role in this? And of course, that's the biggie, because whatever we do in the room here is in a bubble. They've got to take those skills, those strategies, those tools, and take them into their world and do it. And I'm there to encourage and support and be there. But gradually, they become more and more independent, and they can feel that very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, you know, they'll rightly ask, well, what do you do? And you know, some people will say that to me. Well, I've already seen 10 physios. What do you do that's different? And I hope that what I do is different, because otherwise it's not, you know, if they're going to do the same thing, it's not going to help. So yeah, they'd be the three questions. There's probably others, but they'd be three important ones.
The three main ones, yeah, they're good ones. I like those ones. Question 4. Now, a lot of people now, they call it Dr. Google. You know, they're always looking for information via the internet. Google's a place to go, and YouTube, etc. So, do you think? And also, I think also even the amount of people now following the Pain Toolkit dedicated page on Facebook and Twitter, Twitter pages or whatever. Do you think using social media like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Do you think they're a useful way to promote the pain self-management message to people who live with persistent pain?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so many people, as we both know. You know, 100 million Europeans, 100 million Americans. They're just the ones we know. You know, this is the #1 global health burden. It's enormous. So getting that reach, you know, there's one of me, there's one of you. Getting the reach is key. I mean, look, the flip side is always the fact that there are many people out there promoting, you know, dubious techniques, dubious therapies. And you're talking about a bunch of very vulnerable people, and you can look very authoritarian when you've got a picture on the internet and you're saying certain things. But you know, I was listening to something, you know, very recently where it was suggested that this particular postural kind of system would solve chronic pain, and I'm thinking, oh, and then you see these people going, oh yes, this will be the way I shall go ahead. And you're like, oh, you know, clearly there's no understanding of the complexity, because, you know, dealing with chronic pain is dealing with human nature, it's dealing with consciousness and perception, very complex things that even the brightest minds studying this stuff will say we don't really understand it fully yet. So when someone comes along and says, I've got a simple solution, it kind of goes back to your first question about the quick fix. People go, yes, the quick fix. And if they're sort of still tied into the biomedical model, then their belief system will just push them straight into that. So we are swimming, you know, against that sort of tide. But of course, we can only do what we do in the best possible way. So we've just got to make sure that the media we use gets the right kind of momentum behind it, and we just keep doing what we're doing.
At the weekend, Rich, there was a pain conference with healthcare professionals over in Oslo in Norway. And I noticed one of the on the Twitter feed yesterday. I can't remember the exact question, but it's where healthcare professionals give the impression to patients, say, "Look, yeah, I'll be able to fix you." And you know, I think I know from my experience and other people's, and hearing other, you know, when I do my workshops with people with pain, that. You know, it's not about the fix, or it's not quick. You know, you're going to be pain free, but it's when you've had pain for a long period of time, like 3 months plus, that it's more about learning to live with it rather than looking for that. I'm going to be totally pain free for the rest of my life, you know. And I think and on the Twitter feed, they were sort of saying how what a disjust, so if that's the right word, disjustice of the message from the healthcare professionals who say that to patients. But
yeah, no, I mean that is, but I'd say that, you know, we do have to be very clear with our messages and back them up with what we're doing, and you know, and with data. And you know, I think with pain in society, the messages are rather gloomy, and so that very much feeds into the belief system and someone's experiences that they've had. But I would say now that you know, we have sufficient knowledge, which is always growing. We have sufficient knowledge now that we can be far more hopeful. And so I often use the word overcoming pain, and people will pick me up on it. And actually, that'd be one of the questions, people saying to me, what do you mean by that? Does that mean my pain will go away? And I would say, no, overcoming pain means that you're living your life. And you're living your life, and it's full of meaning and joy, and it's fulfilling. Now, will you have pain in your life? Yes, you will, because we all do. Will you have this pain that you're sitting there in front of me with? Well, you may do, you may not. I can't predict the future. But what I would tell you is, if you follow certain principles and you live in the best way that you can, and you are really living your life, and that will take some change in habits and beliefs, etc., and obviously actions. You've got to do stuff. You can't just sort of just think things better. You've got to do things day in, day out, but they become habits. They're not onerous.
Yeah.
And in fact, most of the stuff I do with the people I'm with, you know, you could say it's kind of fun and enjoyable, because it is going to a coffee shop, it is going to an art gallery, it is writing something if you want to do that, it is playing with the kids, it is pushing the pram, whatever it is. And they're the things you want to do. What do you want? I'll say to someone, and they'll say, I want to get rid of this pain. And I'll say, no, tell me what you want, not what you don't want. Don't tell me about your pain. Tell me about what you want, and we will focus on the steps to get there. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And I will say that with utter conviction. And then it's up to that person if they want to come with me, or I'll go with them. We'll do it together. I will show them the simple steps to take to do that. And that's the coaching bit. That's the coaching bit, which I think is so key. And everyone has got strengths that they can use to follow these steps.
And it's funny you mentioned the word coaching, because I know that's what you do, and that's what I would like to do in another video as well, another broadcast, to ask you, what do you do, you know, around coaching and stuff like that. So hold on to that thought. I'll tell you what, you're getting so fast in front of me, you're making me look like going backwards. Nice one. Okay, come to the last question now. It's a little bit like looking into the future, really. Is how do you see the future of pain management? Now, just briefly, if you can go before you go into your bit, is that from where I started, like in pain management, you know, with my own learning about pain management back in the mid-90s, you know, to me, we've come forward quite a bit. You know, it's very much Captain Kirk stuff, you know, Star Trek-y sort of thing, because from what the messages were 20 years ago to what they are now, you know, we have moved on. But for a lot of people who feel like we haven't moved anywhere. But I know myself, you know, I've taken that journey, and I know we have moved on. So what do you see the future of pain management? How do you see it moving on? If you can just briefly tell me about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, just to quickly go back to something that you just said. I mean, Pete, you know, you do outstanding work. You've done outstanding work now for a number of years.
I'm just one of many.
Yeah. You know, and many people will be thankful for that, and I know why you do it. But looking forward, I think that there's massive hope. There's great hope on a whole number of levels. You know, my purpose is to change the way society thinks about pain, and I really think we can do this. And you know, but we need that energy, and doing these kinds of things will help. But I think that, you know, as the messages start to change and gather momentum, because people realise that, you know, the way they're doing things right now is leading to more pain. And, you know, I was just travelling on the tube today, and you just see no one smiling. Everyone looks heavy. Everyone looks tired. I know it sounds like a cliche, but you get out there and look at it, it's really happening. You think, wow, you know, no wonder we've got a suffering society. No one has the resilience to deal with this stuff anymore. We're being ground down by so many things, seemingly, until you realize that you're being ground down because you're just following your own beliefs and conditioning habits. As soon as you start to change those, things look very differently. Now, you've got to be a bit careful you don't, you know, then sound like you're on a soapbox telling everyone how to live their lives, because you're not. You're just trying to show them and share them simple tools, because you know that they've got great potential. Everyone has great potential. Every moment is fresh and new. Nothing is permanent. Life wouldn't be possible if life wasn't such. So we've got to harness our ability, use our strengths, focus on what we want, and then just work hard to get there, but also enjoy it. You know, I was chatting to someone recently who just said, oh, you know, I just don't feel like I'm having much fun in life. You think, gee, you know, that really, I really felt that, because I thought, wow, you know, how could you, it'd be so sad not to be a young person enjoying life, because it's so precious. So look, there's a whole bunch of very simple practices, and most people go, really? Can I do that for pay? Well, yeah, of course you can, because it's about changing your state. It is the act of self-compassion. It is acts of gratitude. It is noticing positive feelings rather than dismissing them. You know, all these things that people used to scoff at, we've now got great data on. They're simple practices. You try it, you'll notice how quickly you feel differently. It's not rocket science. It's not hard, but it just needs that shift in belief system. And that's always the trickiest bit. But I think there's great hope, and I just want to, and I know you do, and I just want to transmit that as much as possible to people.
Well, we can do that via the videos that we're going to be doing up and coming. I'll contact you soon, and we'll sort out another date, and we're going to look at those other topics, you know, stretch them out a bit more and look into them a bit more depth. But I always ask the viewers that if they've got a question they would like me to ask you about being a pain coach, etc., and all the other work that you do, then just drop me a line, and I can ask you, as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within the video. So thanks very much for taking part in the 5-question video, Rich. It's been a pleasure, and we'll do another one soon. And I wish you a pleasant afternoon.
You too. Cheers, Pete.
Bye.